You've been assigned a new project and you're about to go meet with your sponsor for the first time, and you want to know what sorts of questions you should be asking. That's what this video is about. In this video, I will talk about who the sponsor is and what we can expect out of them, the meeting and its logistics, and what sorts of questions you should ask when you go to that meeting. Stay tuned. All right, so first things first, let's talk about the sponsor. Who is the sponsor and what role do they play? Well, there are two types of sponsors. There's internal and external sponsors. If you were a contractor company and you're working for an external client, that sponsor might be your client. And in that case, they are an external one, and you treat them a little bit different than internal stakeholders. Internal stakeholders are those who have been appointed by your own organization to oversee the benefits of that project. They might be senior level executives, they could be directors, and so on. They could be your department head, it could be the project management office, but the sponsor is the one that has been assigned by your own organization to champion this project, and that sponsor may or may not have selected you as the project manager. So what can we expect from the sponsor? Number one, they've been assigned by the organization to oversee the project. So they probably will protect the mission and vision and goals of that project. They probably have some insight into the goals or the objectives or the benefits that we're trying to get out of the project. So you can expect that they should be able to shed some light onto why we are doing the project. They also should be able to facilitate the project and make it easier for you, the PM, in terms of being able to reach out to certain senior stakeholders, maybe also information and resources that you'll need access to. They should be a little more connected. They should have some more authority within the organization, and they should be able to guide you whenever you have questions or get confused about why we are running the project. So we can kind of look up to that sponsor as the go-to or the reference within the organization with regards to this specific project. So now let's talk about the meeting. Who should go to the meeting? Well, you should bring along any critical or crucial stakeholders who can add to the discussion and maybe provide insight or help bring out the expectations from this project. I have a list of 6 different entities or stakeholders that you should bring along with you if they are available. Number one, the team members. If you've already identified team members that will be working on the project, it is important that you bring them along so that they can bring their own perspective to the project and the requirements, and also maybe help ask all the right questions. The other person that you want to bring is a subject matter expert, one or more. Depending on the nature of the project, you may not necessarily have all the technical expertise, and you're not supposed to have expertise in everything under the sun. Just because you're a PM doesn't mean that you know everything there is to know about everything. You know how to drive a project to success, but you also need to rely on the subject matter expert. Another role you can bring into the first meeting would be people from departments within your operation, like finance, HR, or IT. And this would be relevant if, for example, the project is very expensive and it's going to be funded in phases. Then you do need someone from finance on that first meeting. If it is going to be heavy resource loaded type project, then you probably need someone from HR. And if this is a technology or IT type project, then definitely bring along someone from IT if they are available. The fourth role or person that you want to bring into this is someone from the executive team. And the importance of this is that you want to throw some seriousness into that meeting. You want your sponsor to provide you very good answers when you start asking about goals, objectives, or limitations, budgets, and so on. You want representation from senior management. The fifth role that you want to bring into this would be a PMO. If you have a PMO in your organization, then someone from the PMO would be beneficial just to make sure that we are aligning this project with the organization's strategic goals and so on. Finally, you need to bring someone along that could be a facilitator if you're not the one who's going to facilitate this, or maybe a note taker, someone who can take notes. I'm sometimes pretty bad at taking information. I try to do shorthand on my laptop in my own way, and then I end up writing gibberish that I can never understand afterwards. So that's who you should bring to the meeting. The question now is, how long should that meeting be? Well, typically, depending on the complexity of that project, it's probably going to be somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour. It depends how much you really have to talk about this project, how many questions you have, or how complex it is. Now let's move to the most important part of this video. What questions do you ask? A lot of people get worried about the meeting because they feel that the sponsor might be expecting a lot. Are you supposed to be a technical expert? Well, like we said, you're going to bring a subject matter expert into this meeting, or you're going to bring someone from the IT team or technology team. So no, you're not supposed to be a technical expert. Depending on the nature of the project, you probably have brought on someone who's technical, or maybe if you, in that case, if you're going to bring that technical person, you probably sat with them before and you drafted a few questions that you're going to ask the sponsor. It is really important that you come in prepared, and I can't stress this enough. Bring whoever's going to take the notes, bring a notebook and a couple of pens. Don't go in unprepared. The worst thing you can do is ask your sponsor, hey, can I borrow a piece of paper? Or, can I grab a pen? I forgot my pen. It just makes you look reckless, careless, and I don't think you're going to earn the respect of the sponsor. So come in prepared, as silly as it sounds. Come in prepared and be ready to take notes. Oh, and another point that I forgot to mention is where the meeting should be. If you're going to be meeting with a sponsor, don't drag them to your location. I would say go to them or try to find a good neutral point that your sponsor is okay with. Now, I have a lot of questions that I come in ready with, but it doesn't mean that I have to ask them all. In this video, I'm going to go through about 30 questions plus minus that I think you can ask your sponsor to help you get clarity on what the project is. But it doesn't mean that you have to ask them all. Depending on how much you know already about the project or about the sponsor, and how much you know your sponsor, or what background you have about what you're about to do, then I would say you may want to eliminate some of these questions, or maybe stress some of them a little bit more, or add some that you feel are relevant. You don't need to worry about taking notes, because what I've done for you is I put them all into one document, and I am going to put a link in the description below so that you can go and download this checklist. So it's a nice checklist, and it itemizes all the things that you should be asking. In my list of questions, I have categorize the questions by different groups. And the reason I do this is because I want to remain focused when I talk to the sponsor. I don't want to be jumping back and forth, like ask about the budget now and then ask, oh, what's your goals from the project? And then go and talk about resources and just jump around. Instead, I like to go systematically, and I usually start with something to do with the goals or the vision of the project. So I would start with a question to the sponsor, after all the icebreakers and how you doing, how's the weather, the birds are singing, and the game last night. You can start with these things. That's nice. And then shortly after, get into the questions that you want to ask. You definitely don't want to spend too much time with the icebreaker. Just break the ice a minute or two just to warm them up and get to the questions. All right, so I would typically start with a question like, tell me about the project or product or service that you have in mind. I want to leave it as an open-ended question to the sponsor. And this should allow the sponsor to express what they know about the project as far as organizational benefits, what's the vision, is this an existing type of initiative? Is this the second phase of a product that they've already worked on? But you want to get the bigger picture by asking that question. So that would be the first question that I ask. The next thing that we want to ask about are the business objectives. So there could be one or two reasons why a project is being run. Either we're trying to fix a problem, or we're trying to capture an opportunity. If this is an opportunity, then it's important that we get an estimate from the sponsor, as much as they know about the size of the opportunity, what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it feels like, what is the opportunity, when do they want to have this opportunity, how big, how small, and where it's going to come from. It is really important, because eventually when you deliver the project, the success is going to be measured against that opportunity statement, like the valuation of it, because you could deliver an opportunity but not as much as what they expected, and that may be considered a failure. So it's really important that you get some sort of a valuation or number on what that opportunity is. If this is a problem that we're trying to fix, then you have to do a little bit more. I would want to know, I would want to get some statistics on how often that problem happens, the effect that it's having, financial or otherwise. For all you know, this is derailing, the whole strategy of the organization. So you just want to know how impactful that problem is and how important it is for this problem to be fixed and by when, so that when you do deliver the project later on, the success would be elimination of that problem. And the next thing that we want to clarify would be things related to the project or product scope. So for example, I'm going to ask the sponsor if they have a clear image of the end product. Do they know what it looks like? Have they seen anything like it? And what are the main features or functions that this product does? How does this fit within the organizational strategy or mission and vision or our game plan for the next year or two? Who's driving the project from up above? I mean, which senior executive at the highest level wants this project to happen? Do we have support from them? Is this project linked to anything else that is being worked on at this moment? And what do they expect us to deliver at the end of the project? What deliverables are they looking for? And how will they evaluate the end product to make sure we met what was intended on this project? Next, we want to ask about stakeholders. And stakeholders are those who are going to be impacted by this project either in a good way or in a bad way. Those stakeholders can be inside the organization or could be outside the organization. So the type of questions that you want to ask the sponsor are the following. Who is the main beneficiary, or who is the key person or group that would be impacted by this project? Who are the main supporters of this project, and who is going to feel threatened by this project? This is if the sponsor knows. Who do we need to talk to that needs to be happy with the outcome of the project? Next, you ask your sponsor who is the person that is most knowledgeable with regards to the details or specifics of this project, and also who else do we need to bring into this project that may help define the specifics or requirements or outcomes. Next, we need to talk about timing and budget. So the first question would be, do they have a time frame or deadline for the project? Also, are there any specific milestones that need to be met by this project? Some things may need to be done by specific time points, maybe because it ties into the funding or maybe availability of resources. So that's a question that we need to ask. Also, is there anything that is driving the deadline? Is it fixed? Can we have more time if required? Is it kind of flexible or not? Finally, with regards to time, when is the latest deadline that this project needs to be completed by? Then you move on to the budget. How much is the budget that is allocated to this project? Is there any flexibility on it? And I would also ask, which one is more important to them, time or the budget, because that really drives decisions when it comes to issues that we face or changes that we may have to make on the project. Then we move on to questions about resources. So you may want to know who in the organization you can talk to get resources, whether technical, administrative for the project. Your sponsor might be able to help you with that, and they may have some advantage, or maybe they can reach certain people that can help you with the resources. So it's important to ask that question. I would also ask if I'm allowed or authorized to be able to bring in resources from the outside, as in contractors and so on. Some projects are internal and they've already got the resources allocated, and so you can't really bring anyone from the outside. So you got to know what you're going to be working with. So we're coming to the end of the questions. The final part that I would ask questions on are the assumptions and the constraints. So what sorts of questions? Well, are they making any assumptions about this project? Are there any conditions that they believe are going to be there, or expectations that they have in mind with regards to how things are going to proceed going forward. So things such as availability of resources, or how much we already know about the technology, or how challenging it is. You want to know what assumptions they're making, right? So if the sponsor knows of any of these assumptions, he'll probably tell you. You also want to know if there's any constraints that the sponsor is aware of. Maybe this is the second phase or third phase, or first attempt or second attempt at this product, and maybe they've had challenges before, issues that they faced before. So it's important to ask that question at this time. We also want to know if there's any government regulations or policies or laws that me and the team need to be aware of. And in addition, are there any technical or industry-based standards that we need to comply with on this project? Finally, are there any risks that the sponsor is aware of or is concerned about? And it's important for me to take notes of these at this point. This is by no means a risk analysis that is being completed. I just want to know from the sponsor what they believe the risks are. I would maybe end the meeting with the sponsor by asking, is there anything else I need to know about this project? This would give the sponsor an opportunity to maybe express anything that they feel you may have left out in the questions that you asked, and fill you in on those. That would be the last question, and then you just say thank you, and you tell them that you're going to go over your notes and prepare a project charter that you will come back to the sponsor with, so that you can both review it and agree that this is what the project is about. And that's all that I have for this video. Hope you found it to be useful. Again, if you want the checklist for all of the questions that I mentioned in this video, just look in the description below. You'll find a link. Click on that and you'll have access to the checklist. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you think someone else would benefit from it, share with them. And if you're not a subscriber and this is your first visit, please go ahead and click the subscribe button. It shows your appreciation for what I'm doing on this channel. Thank you once again, and hope to see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.